Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to our panels. We Nurul Syafiqah Binti Othman.
My name is Mohd Syafiq bin Norzaidi.
And my name is Airin Jasmin Binti Mazlan.
First introduction, what is e-cigarette? E-cigarette is a battery-operated device that changes liquid chemicals e-juice into a vapor that can be inhaled. What is e-juice? Propylene glycol or glycerin, flavoring and often nicotine. Vape in Malaysia started since 2009 with higher prevalence at 14% and widely used among male and female. Malaysia Higher Education declared a ban of the use e-cigarette and smoking. E-cigarette have a rapid growth among youth based on nationally used tobacco survey. From 2011 to 2019, the percentage of the current e-cigarette use increased among high school students and middle school students. Next, problem statement. Vaping was a big hit in Malaysia back in 2015 before becoming less popular in the following years. SMK Bukit Crayus reported the number of youths involved with this unhealthy activity seems to be increasing. Primary school kids carrying vape after spot checks. The side effect of using e-cigarette including death reported in the US. The National Council of Fatwa has announced e-cigarette and vape is haram, forbidden. In worldwide, there are over 20 countries where vaping is banned, including Thailand and Indonesia. For the research objective, we have three research objectives. First, to identify the demographic profile of secondary school students in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur. The second objective, to examine the most significant factors that influence e-cigarette users dependence among secondary school students in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur. The third objective, to determine the difference in e-cigarette users dependence of secondary school students in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur based on gender. For the scope and limitation, the study is still limited to secondary school students located in Ampang area from age 13 to 17 years old and with e-cigarette user. For the limitation of the study is inability and difficulty to obtain sampling frame. The cost, limitation and time consuming to conduct this multiple tests in Ampang area because of the big scale. The researcher exposed to the unhealthy environment. And the last one, difficulties in experiencing the perspective for both theoretical nor practical situations.
So for our research design, descriptive using a cross-sectional design was applied in our study. As our main purpose is to identify factors that influence e-cigarette dependence among secondary school students in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur. So our participant was secondary school student which aged from 13 to 17 years old and an e-cigarette user. So we collect our data once at a period of time since it is less expensive to perform, and we also can minimize the dropout response by respondents. So let we go to the research population and sample. So our target population was all secondary school students in Ampang, which are 200 sample. Then we use judgmental sampling techniques as our method of sampling. Then the data collection method, we use a medium of self-administered questionnaire at a month interval. Then we distribute them to the secondary school student in Ampang who was an e-cigarette user. The respondent was selected through the judgment or knowledge of the researcher, and then we explain them the aims of our study, and then we tell them about the confidentiality of the respondent, and then the data obtained in English language, which is quite easy to understand, but we don't let them answer by themselves. We also give them a guide so that we can get a quality data.
Next, for sampling method, this research was conducted in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur with selected from secondary school students who are e-cigarette users. Method used as judgmental method since only those students who are used e-cigarette were as a respondent. These specific characteristics, requirements ensure appropriate capacity of respondents to answer self-administered questionnaire. Next, for research instrument, this research used questionnaire for data collection. It contains of closed-ended form and Likert scale. There is 46 questions divided into 3 separate sections, which is the section A contains of demographic information, section B, pen-state electronic e-cigarette, and Section C perceived factors influencing e-cigarette usage dependence. Bulk 1 shows interpretation of Penn State Electronic Cigarette Dependence Index. This interpretation was designed by Jonathan Foltz and Jessica M. Yings in 2015 at Penn State University. The theoretical framework consists of independent variables which are social influence, personal or family income, current trends, variability of levels, and self-emotion, while the dependent variable is e-cigarette usage dependence among secondary school students.
So we go to the first data analysis, which is descriptive analysis. So this is the first demographic profile by gender of the respondents. So based on the finding, there is 79% of the total respondents are male, while the other 21% are female. So this is supported by the previous study by Professor Dr. Syafiqah with the title of the use of e-cigarettes among university students in Malaysia, that also revealed male respondents were the majority of the e-cigarette rather than female. So we can conclude that most of the secondary school students that use e-cigarette are male. So the second demographic profile was age. So based on the finding, we found that 21.5% of the respondents are aged 15 years old and below, and 46.5% are the 16 years old, and another 32% are the 17 years old. So we can see that we know that 16 and 17 years old students are the upper form students. So we can conclude that most of the secondary school students in the upper form use e-cigarette compared to the lower form. So the third one is race. So the majority of the respondents are Malay with 89%, while Chinese with 33.5%, and the other one is Indian with 6%. And then the remaining percentage are the other races. So this finding also supported by the same previous study by Professor Dr. Sharifah Ezzatwan Putih, which says that ethnic Malay are recording the highest percentage of e-cigarette users, which is 75.2% compared to the others ethnic. So we can conclude that most of the secondary school students use e-cigarette was a Malay. So this is the graph that shows the e-cigarette dependence level. So there is a 3 level: low, medium, and high dependence. So we can see that 167 of the respondents have high e-cigarette dependence level, while 27 have medium, and another 6 have low dependence level. So we can see that most of the respondents secondary school students in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur have high level towards e-cigarettes. So next, we use patient classification analysis. So this is the first analysis that we use to determine the association between social influence and e-cigarette dependence. So based on our findings, we can see in the table 4.1, there is no significant correlation for a 3-dependent variable on the e-cigarette usage dependence, since the p-value exceeds the alpha value, which is 0.05. Also in the previous study, the same previous study by Professor Dr. Sharifah Ezzatwan Putih, who did the same research but towards different population, which is university students, and she found that there is no significant relationship between social influence and e-cigarette use, since its p-value also exceed the alpha value, which is 0.85.
(4.2) shows associations between buy-own vaping device as parents or living with family and e-cigarettes dependence. The findings reveal that there is no significant correlation between the 3 variables buy-own vaping device as parents or living with family and e-cigarette dependence, since the p-value is greater than alpha 0.05. The p-value for buying own vaping device is 0.071, As parents 0.602 and living rich family 0.539. These findings was contradicted with previous study which indicates that in the current study, a higher percentage of e-cigarette users were employed and also earn higher monthly household income stated by Abdurrahman Ganasegaran, Loon and Rashid in 2020. Next, Table 4.3 shows associations between trending worldwide, triggered with everyone, or do not want to be outdated and e-cigarette dependence. The findings also reveal that there is no significant correlation between the three variables, which is trending worldwide, triggered with everyone, and do not want to be outdated. There is no significant correlation between the variables because the p-value is greater than alpha 0.05. The findings can be supported by research done by Sharifah Izzatwan Puteh in 2018 stated that exclusive e-cigarette use was not associated with current trends since the p-value is greater than 0.05. Next, for table 4.4 shows the associations between being attracted with sweet smell, popularity of flavors, or easily get in any store-wide and e-cigarette dependence. The findings reveal that there is no significant correlation between the three variables and e-cigarette dependence since the p-value is greater than alpha 0.05. It shows that the attracted with sweet smell, popularity of flavors, and easily get in any store does not affect the e-cigarettes dependence. This finding also contradicted with the research from Christopher Russell in 2018 state that frequent adult e-cigarette users in the US who have moved entirely from smoking cigarettes to using e-cigarettes are increasingly likely to have begun e-cigarette use with non-tobacco flavors and have shifted over time from tobacco to non-tobacco flavors.
Okay, table 4.5 shows the association between self-emotion and e-cigarette dependence. Okay, for the high e-cigarette dependence, over half of 85 students with high e-cigarette dependence feel sad with the highest percentage, about 88.5%. There is similar pattern between feel happy and feel sick with 86.4% and 86.7% respectively. For the medium e-cigarette dependence, students depend on e-cigarette when they will feel depressed with 12.5%. For the low e-cigarette dependence, students have a low dependence on e-cigarette when they will feel sick with 3.5% respectively. By comparing three self-emotion, students with high e-cigarette dependence are more dependent on e-cigarette when they will feel sad, and for the medium and low e-cigarette dependence, students will depend on e-cigarettes when they were depressed and sick. Okay, this is the findings and conclusion. The findings for variable self-emotion shows there is no significant association between feel depressed, feel sick, feel happy, or feel sad and e-cigarette dependence since the p-value greater than alpha 0.05. These findings contradict with the previous study. Based on the journal Karamani, the results indicate that severe fatigue was significantly related to negative effect, anxious, arousal, and emotion dysregulation since p-value less than alpha 0.05. Okay, next is Mann-Whitney U-test analysis. Table 4.6 shows the Mann-Whitney U-test analysis for the gender difference in e-cigarette user. Okay, for the findings and conclusion, the male group 101.34 had the highest dependence on e-cigarette usage based on the mean ranks compared to the female groups, 97.35. It can be concluded that each grade dependence in the male group was not statistically significant higher than female group since the p-value is 0.537 greater than alpha 0.05. This is contradictory with the previous study but on different population which at least 18 years old and each grade user. Okay, for next for the recommendation, further studies should include both user, each grade and tobacco grade to represent the sample of secondary school students. Since all factors are not significantly associated with each grade dependence, another factors can be included such as own desire, personal belief, and aim to quit smoking. In further, longitudinal studies should include level of dependence for dual user among adolescents. To gain more credible findings in attaining the objective, an additional number of sample size should be considered. And that's all from us. Thank you.